Hello students, welcome to the test discussion of our prelims test series which has started from 1st February. This is a polity test discussion. Prelims is 3.5 months away, so now is the right time to get into the prelims mode. I have some students with me who have attempted the test, who have gotten this scores, and now we are going to discuss the prelims question paper that we set for the first polity test. There are 50 sectional questions. Some of them I'll take you through the background and I'll give you the constitutional background, I'll give you the conceptual background, the historical background, and some of them which are purely factual in nature, we'll just run through them by reading the solutions. This will be the mode of the discussion. It will be a maximum 1.5 hour long discussion. So sit back, revise your concepts, learn some new concepts, and let's get started. So the first question is a factual question basically. Under the Government of India Rules 1961, Allocation of Business Rules 1961, which one of the following is the nodal ministry for all matters of union territories relating to legislation, finance, budget, services, and appointment of lieutenant governors and administrators? This is a factual question. Answer is Union Ministry of Home Affairs. You can also work this out via elimination. Parliamentary affairs nahi ho sakta because these are supposed to be dealt with by the center itself. ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଯେହେତୁ agents, administrators and lieutenant governors are agents of the center. So parliamentary affairs ଏଠି involve କାହିଁକି ହବ, right? Union Ministry of Finance ना जदि एठी only legislation जदि एठी only finance थांता ताले हमें confuse हुअन्ते कि एठी Union Ministry of Finance may be involved, but एठी legislation भी अच्छी, एठी services भी अच्छी, एठी appointments भी अच्छी. So why will it be Union Ministry of Finance? So this is also eliminated. And then Prime Minister's office, no, because lieutenant governors, administrators, all these aspects are dealt with by the president in general. Okay, so Prime Minister's office will not be the option. The answer is Union Ministry of Home Affairs, which in general is responsible for these aspects. Okay, so under the government of India, the Union Ministry of Home Affairs is the nodal ministry. All the 5 union ministries without legislature, that is Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Chandigarh, Daman and Diu, Dadra Nagar Haveli, Lakshadweep, have this forum of, 8 out important thing that you can remember, forum of Home Ministers Advisory Committee and Administrators Advisory Committee. The HMAC is chaired by the Union Home Minister, and AAC is chaired by the administrator of the concerned unit. So this is some extra factual information for you, but that takes care of our question. Which of the following statements is correct regarding interstate water disputes in India? Now this is a question which demands some concepts, some background. Interstate water disputes, first of all, kiଏ ଜାଣିଛ କୋଉ article କ'ଣ? Anyone? କୋଉଠୁ ଆସୁଛି? ମାନେ कृष्णा ट्रिब्यूनल, कावेरी ट्रिब्यूनल ଶୁଣିଛ ଏ ସବୁ? महानदी ट्रिब्यूनल, yes. So तार किछि बैकग्राउंड जानଛ? Anyone? माने केमिति, what act is it? some माने किछि law अछि या just ad hoc way रे just तैयारी होची and then dissolve कर दोचंती किछि? No idea. ट्रिब्यूनल ताकू ये करिवो. Okay, okay. Statement 1. The Supreme Court has exclusive jurisdiction over interstate water disputes under Article 131. This is a incorrect statement. Like you said, Supreme Court ku jai paribo nahi. And kainki and kothi lekha hichi eta. This is written in Article. Wait. Constitution. There is an Article 262. Okay. Adjudication of disputes relating to waters of interstate rivers or valleys. This is the foundation of this question. Okay, so Parliament may by law provide for the adjudication of any dispute or complaint with respect to the use, distribution or control of waters. Eta ammo constitution koidela. Parliament may by law, and Parliament has made a law which is the Interstate Water Disputes Act 1956. Okay, pardon my handwriting. Inexperience achi board likhyara. I'll improve with time. So yes, this is the act that Parliament has come up with. And in the same article, Parliament may by law provide that neither the Supreme Court nor any other court shall exercise jurisdiction in respect of any such dispute. So, since Constitution clearly mentions this, can this statement then be correct? Clean select. Supreme Court has exclusive jurisdiction over interstate water disputes. No. Okay. But it Article 131 kaiki likha hoichi. Mane 131 puni kotu asla. 131 is also related, but in a different way. 131 is Supreme Court telling us what powers it has over center and states. Okay. 131. Yeah. 131 देखिए कौन coach. 131 is the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the Supreme Court shall, to the exclusion of any other court, have original jurisdiction in any dispute between the Government of India and one or more states, the Government of India and any state or states on one side and one or more states on the other side, and between two more states. Okay. So, original jurisdiction, eta hoche Supreme Court ro, ki jodi two states are fighting, one state and the center is fighting, or center and one state on one side, two or more states on the other side, they are fighting. A sobu matters will be decided by the Supreme Court. But if two states are fighting on the water related issues, sethere Supreme Court cannot have any say, because this is written in the Article 262 itself. Okay. So 131 provides original jurisdiction. However, interstate water disputes are specifically excluded from SC's jurisdiction. Tribunals under, because they are mandated by tribunals under 262. Okay, so that is the whole background. Ebe solve kariya bahut easy hai. Parliament can establish tribunals for adjudication of interstate water disputes. Yes, that is 262. President of India has the power to resolve interstate water disputes under Article 262. No, this is a false statement. There is no direct role of president, because again that would mean president is sidestepping the parliament. But no, parliament is the supreme authority when it comes to making laws. Okay, so this is an incorrect statement. The first is an incorrect statement. Only the second one is correct, and so the answer is 1 and 2 only. Sorry, 2 only. Okay. Who among the following is considered de facto executive authority in Indian parliamentary system of government? Easy question. You just need to know a couple of concepts here. De facto, go tell a de facto, and out a word hochi de jure. J is silent, it's jure. Okay, de jure. De facto, de jure. So de facto mane, first of all, de jure. Technically, the one. Okay. Who is technically or on paper. ठीक है. Technically or on paper, Manmohan Singh was the PM. De facto, who was the PM? Sonia Gandhi. Yes, that's a joke. That's a joke. Okay. So technically, president is the authority of India. Okay, executive authority of India, because it's written he is the head of the government. But the question is de facto. And actually किए तले मैंने who is calling the shots, background में कौन है जो कि president को सब बता रहा है तुम ये करो. That's the prime minister. Okay, this is the concept. So this is de facto. This is 1 calling the shots. This is the one who's technically the leader. This is one calling the shots. Okay, ये गला question number 3. Now this is where you need a lot of background information to come to terms with what is being asked here. Okay. With reference to the evolution of basic structure doctrine, we are clear about the basic structure doctrine. Keshwananda Bharati. There are some features which cannot be trampled upon even by the Parliament. Kitna list achi? Okay, fine. The 44th Constitutional Amendment Act attempted to overturn the Keshwananda ruling by explicitly empowering Parliament to amend any part of the Constitution without judicial interference. This is incorrect. Kahinki? Because ame etiki the background janche that 42nd is where a lot of attempts were made by the Indira Gandhi government to give itself the utmost power. Okay. 44th was the amendment, the trying to right the wrongs of 42nd. 8 ame janche, right? 44th was the attempt to right the many wrongs of 42nd amendment. ठीक है जी, एतिके हमें जानचे. So can the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, can that be the one which attempted to overturn the Keshwananda ruling? No. Okay, it was the 42nd Amendment Act. मैंने एमती केतेबेले exact knowledge नथिले भी background knowledge use करिके भी you can solve a lot of questions. ठीक है जी? Because this sounds like an extreme statement. Explicitly empowering Parliament to amend any part of the Constitution without judicial interference. ये Indian democracy में हो सकता है क्या? नहीं हो सकता. तो अगर हुआ होगा, कब हुआ होगा? 44th Amendment में या 42nd Amendment में? 42nd Amendment में. ठीक? Okay. So this statement is wrong. In Minerva Mills versus Union of India, the Supreme Court reaffirmed that limited amending power under Article 368 is a part of the basic structure. This is correct. Okay. Minerva Mills versus Union of India रे कौन हितला? ये गोटे कर्नाटका रा private mill थिला. Okay. This was a private mill, and under Article 39B and 39C, some directive state principles. Okay, where government was for the benefit of the wider population, हमें concentration of wealth हवा को दबानी, हमें redistribute करिया resources. इन सब लिखा है 39B, 39C. I can show it, but that'll take a lot of time. So what government started doing? It started nationalizing banks, private banks को nationalize कला, industries, private industries को nationalize कला. You have become too big for your own good. Will now take control so that since you are not fair to people, you are giving them minimum wages, minimum this, minimum that, and our country रे बहुत गरीबी अच्छी. So since you already have this industrial base setup, we will take on from here. So you and then we will employ people accordingly. Okay. So banks, industries को सब nationalize करिया start कला. So Minerva Mills गोटे case करथिले जाई Supreme Court रे कि एडा this is not fair sir, एडा आमो mills को केमती सेमाने नहीं गले. Supreme Court said no, nationalization is allowed. आमो DPSP कोची. But there were some issues regarding amending power. माने since देखो Keshwananda Bharati was also supposed to be just a small case, but sithre empty questions uthila where it became this landmark case ki 50 years down the line we are still talking about Keshwananda Bharati. ठीक है जी. So sithre bhi there were a lot of questions that were raised, and then out of those questions some pertinent answers that were laid out were that it reaffirmed the limited amending power under Article 368 is part of the basic structure. कौन लिमिटेड अमेंडिंग पावर एंड कौन माने तार कौन ये 368 रे दीटा clauses अच्छी which are basically dead. Okay, 368 yeah, देखो 8 ही 368 4 5 दीटा आर्टिकल्स अच्छे एटी से मैंने चेष्टा करथिले टू एंटर no amendment of this constitution shall be called in question in court on any grounds. This is what they tried to enter. Okay, no amendment of this constitution shall be called in question on any ground. This is what the 42nd amendment जो टाइप जस्ट हमें डिस्कस करथिले ठीक अछि. It tried, parliament gave to tried to give itself the ultimate powers. Okay, कोर्ट भी किछि करि परिबन, तुम हमारा कुछ नहीं कर सकते. This is what 42nd amendment tried to say. And तापरे आउटे ये, for the removal of any doubts, it is hereby declared that there shall be no limitation whatever on the constituent power of the parliament to amend by way of addition, variation, repeal or whatever under this article. So ये जो सब extreme powers जो parliament दबा को चेष्टा कला, these were struck down. Okay, these were struck down in the Keshwananda Bharati judgment. And then एठी कौन पचारचे? एठी पचारची the Minerva Mills reaffirmed. Okay, close कर देली. Reaffirmed, which is true. कि हाँ Minerva Mills से जोड़ा है इतला कि 368, 4 and 5 they are hereby unconstitutional. एटा हमें अगेन कहूँ कि yes they are unconstitutional. Judiciary रो किछि तो रोल अच्छी जोड़ा कि parliament can never take away. ठीक है. So this is the background of this statement. This statement is basically correct. The court in M. Nagaraj versus Union of India upheld reservation in promotions subject to adherence to the principles of equality as part of the basic structure. ठीक है जी. What is reservation in promotions? Can you tell me? मैंने कौन है थी वो? Guess करी परी कोई परियो. हाँ इक्विटी आनी अब मैंने ओके आई विल टेल यू स्मॉल रे ब्रीफ रे बुझोचे गोटे एग्जांपल दे कि गोटे स्टूडेंट को बुझेतली सेम एग्जांपल आई विल ट्राई एंड यूज समवन से तम ना तेजस तेजस joined in 2010 ठीक है and he is a general class candidate ठीक है मु एली सिद्धांत I joined in 2014 okay and I belong to the SC category ठीक है now come 2025 मैंने आमे जो भी डिपार्टमेंट सपोज इरिगेशन डिपार्टमेंट आमे देजो ना जॉइन कर लो इरिगेशन डिपार्टमेंट फाउंड आउट दैट जो डायरेक्टर पोस्ट सेक्रेटरी पोस्ट मैंने सीनियर इंजीनियर पोस्ट ये सब पोस्ट रे overwhelmingly 90% लोग are from the general category. This is what they found out. Okay, so they decide let's promote someone from the reserved categories to bring equity, which you said. Okay, so even though I joined 4 years later, he still remains a junior engineer or something, and I become a senior one because I got what reservation in promotions. And then this is all this story is coming from where? Article 16. Article 16 4A. Nothing in this article shall prevent the state from making any provision for reservation or classes of post in services under the state. Okay, in favor of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes which in the opinion of the state are not adequately represented. Eta likha hai constitution. So the department has the power to do this, but can it do it blindly? And before that, what is this term? Consequential seniority. He was my senior when I joined, but as a consequence of me being promoted before him, I became his senior. So now I have consequential seniority over him. काली पर्यंत मु तो तते सर कहतली काली तू मते सर कहबो. That is consequential seniority. Okay. Okay, This is the background of this thing. Now this question, simple question, M. Nagaraj versus Union of India upheld reservation in promotions is a factually true question. This question is factual, but the background was thoda sa conceptual, which you had to understand. Okay. In the first judge's case, the Supreme Court reaffirmed that the independence of judiciary is part of the basic structure of the constitution. True or false? Anyone? False? First case re kon hitla? Yes. Correct. Article 124 रे गोटे वर्ड अच्छी consultation of the president, right? ମୁଁ କାଇଁ ଲେଖୁଛି କାଇଁ ମୁଁ ତ ଦେଖେଇ ଦେବି। Establishment of the Supreme Court. Every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed by the President by a warrant under his hand and seal. Now this is what they tried to bring in. NJSC से मैंने आने को चेष्टा करथिले 2014 रे, but ये देखो दुई गोटे फुटमार्क अच्छी दुई and तार लिखा है जी कि this is now struck down by the Supreme Court in case of Supreme Court advocates on record versus CA. So the original words कौन? Original words are every judge of the Supreme Court shall be appointed under his hand and seal after consultation with number of judges of the Supreme Court and High Court in the states as the President may deem necessary for this purpose. These are the original words. एमती रहीगला because से माने constitution change करियो चेष्टा करथिले and then Supreme Court struck it down. So we are supposed to read half of this and half of this. This is how you read the constitution basically. Okay. So एटा होची ये. So ए consultation word को नहीं की बहुत हो हल्ला क्रिएट हेतला 80s रे कि प्रेसिडेंट निजे अपॉइंट करिवे ना सुप्रीम कोर्ट तांकर इन हाउस प्रोसेस रखिबो और व्हाटएवर एंड देन यू हैव द फेमस 3 जजेस केस फर्स्ट द सेकंड द थर्ड spread over 10 or 12 years. Last one was SP Gupta versus Union of India, the third judge's case 1992, but first judge's case was 1981. Okay, so in the first judge's case, Supreme Court said primacy of the executive in judicial appointments, which you said, okay, and transfers in interpreting consultation with Chief Justice under as non-binding on the President. Then subsequently, second judges रे कहला no. Second judges रे से माने आणले CJI plus 2 senior most judges, and then third judges रे they meant to CJI plus 4 senior most judges. Collegium system evolved from there and things started taking course. Okay. It has its own set of discrimination. Own set of problems, own set of criticisms. But as of now, it is the best suited thing that can happen to Indian democracy. Otherwise, यदि PM ने कि ही तांको judge बसे देले तांकर Supreme Court रे, तल यदि case किसी union against आसिबो, we know where the ruling is going towards. Okay, so better suggestions are awaited now. So amara kon hela eti sabu incorrect pacharchi. First one was incorrect, fourth one was incorrect, so answer is 1 and 4. Okay. Bore laguchi? Bore laguchi? No? Interesting. Okay. According to Constitution of India, the President of India can make regulations for the peace, progress and good government of एथरे गोटे तो देखा जाउची Jammu and Kashmir won't be the answer because Jammu and Kashmir has been now broken up basically. Okay. Union territory of Jammu alga, Kashmir alga. So ame 3 8 ही direct eliminate करि परिया. 3 is eliminated, 3 is eliminated, all of the above is eliminated. Answer is 1 and 4. ठीक है? Okay. And where is this coming from? Article 241. 240 रे लिखा है जी straight that for the good governance of ये Andaman, Lakshadweep, Dadra Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu and Puducherry. एई चारटा पई से president बने परिबे. Chandigarh is not mentioned. Jammu Kashmir is not mentioned. Okay. Which of the following statements regarding the president's pardoning powers is incorrect? Okay. Let's give a quick reading of the options. ये सब factual, very easy questions. President can grant pardons even in cases tried under military law. Yes, this can happen. Okay. President's pardoning powers can be discretionary in nature. No, this cannot happen. से निज मन इच्छा दे परिबेनी ये तांको जहाँ भी you Council of Ministers जहाँ कहबो से ही हबो. Okay, so this is the incorrect statement. The power includes remission, commutation, reprieve and suspension of sentences. Yes, this is correct. None of the above can't be an option. This can't be an option. The correct answer is B. Okay. And it good Supreme Court case re कहथिले Kehar Singh versus Union of India. This Supreme Court said this is important for your mains. Okay, these cases and all. Prelims re mostly direct माने एमती गोटे गोटे यूनिक केसेस विषय से माने पचारिबेनी से माने से मिनर्वा मिल्स इंदिरा गांधी वर्सेस राज नारायण केशवानंद भारती एम नागराज एंड ए सब जिन विषय पचारिबे but Kehar Singh versus Union of India a sub info is important for your mains, so you should make a note of this. In that case the Supreme Court ruled that president cannot act independently in such matters. The Council of Ministers jaha कहबे सेया होबो. ठीक अछि. Which of the following does not explain why India is described as having a quasi-federal constitution with a unitary bias? What is quasi-federal constitution? Anyone? What is a federal constitution first? Sabto basic jinsa ko mat.
Separation of power, distribution of powers between center and state.
Yes, correct. Now what is quasi-federal?
It is not purely unitary or purely federal. Like there is distribution, also some concentration of power
to the union. Yes. Now you tell me, if you are explaining it so well, you tell me the Union Parliament has the power to legislate on state subjects under certain circumstances. Is this quasi-federal? Does this show a strong union?
This is a unitary.
Yeah.
This is unitary.
Unitary in nature. So it explains quasi-federalism, right? Yes, it explains quasi-federalism. There is a strong center with more financial aid and legislative powers compared to the states. Yes, explains. Governor appointed by the president plays a key role in the state administration. Also explains. So the answer should be none of them. पूछा पड़ला? You got it? आओ थरे बुझे. Okay. Now, see, notepad खोलना था. So आमे कहूचे, first we have a word called federalism or federal. ठीक है? आमे कहूचे इथरे two units रहा कथा union states, and they should have equal distribution of powers in an ideal world. Okay, which is generally seen in USA. ठीक है? They have their states have their own constitution, center has their own constitution. In general, states have very good powers when it compares to what they can and can't do. Okay, which is generally seen in USA. But US's history and our history is different. आमे मैंने सरदार पटेल आयरन पॉलिसी यूज करी कि 564 प्रिंसली स्टेट्स को इंटीग्रेट करी कि हम इंडिया बनेले. तो यदि समस्त को सेतिकी पावर दिया हेता ताले India would have destroyed within the first 10 years of its coming into existence. Okay, so what we decided we will give union some extra powers. By extra powers, what do I mean? The 7th schedule, the distribution of powers. There is a union list, there is a state list, there is a concurrent list. Okay, union list you will see there are 97 subjects. Okay, state listed there are only 60 something subjects, I think 63, and consequentially there is 52 or something. ठीक है. So this shows that we tried to, for the sake of the unity of India, we said, nahi, center is possible. They should be more powerful. Okay. Yes, we are a federal nation. Yes, there are states. Yes, there is Odisha, there is Uttar Pradesh, there is Jharkhand, and they are free to do whatever they suit for their own state. But there is still a father figure sitting at Delhi who will say कि नहीं ऐसे करना है, मनमानी नहीं करना, ऐसे करो, ठीक है. माइनॉरिटीज के अगेंस्ट तुम नहीं कर सकते डिस्क्रिमिनेशन. एबे झारखंड कहबो मु ट्राइब्स को ही सब पावर दे देबी, मु जनरल लोक विषय भाभी भी नहीं. ओके. तो सेंटर कहबो नो, दिस कैन नॉट बी डन. ठीक है. So this is the whole logic. Now what is the term quasi-federal? This is where the term quasi-federal is coming from. It is not mentioned in the constitution. This is an expert opinion. Okay. Quasi-federal is half. Anything quasi is half. Okay. So India is a half federal nation basically. Now the question was, which of the following does not explain why India is described as a quasi-federal? Whenever this kind of question comes, no, you just read it from the perspective of explains. ठीक है. तो तमे जहाँ जहाँ को wrong मारिबो, से basically tick हे चलिबो. And last को you just reverse it. So now I'll see which of the following explains why India is described as a quasi-federal nation. ठीक है. So Union Parliament has more power to legislate. Yes, it explains. So this cannot be our answer. मैंने बुझा पड़ला मु केमती फ्लिप करिकी निजको कंफ्यूज हवाटू पहुंचूची. ओके. देयर इज अ स्ट्रांग सेंटर विथ मोर फाइनेंशियल एंड लेजिस्लेटिव पावर्स. दिस again explains why it is a quasi-federal. So this cannot be the answer. The governor appointed by the president plays a key role in state administration. मैंने एटा काई के why is this? Because government can withhold, has more discretionary powers than the president. Okay. So जदि बिल पास होबो जाउची गवर्नमेंट कहबो ना मु पास होबो देबिनी. तमु कहाँ ହେଲା ଏଇଟା କେମିତି ଯାଉଥିଲେ ହୋମ୍ मेनू PC. हाँ. Why this is also a quasi-federal element? Because governor कहबो ए बिल मु पास होबो देबिनी, जोटा कि RN Ravi, governor of Tamil Nadu, all those issues पूरा एकदम full blown media war. Okay. गवर्नर से कहबो नाइ तमे प्रेसिडेंट पाखु जाओ साइन नबा पे. Okay. So सेठी भी गोटे एलिमेंट अछि कि नो सेंटर इज मोर पावरफुल देन द स्टेट. So this also explains India's quasi-federal nature. So again this cannot be the answer. If neither these three are the answer, what is the answer then? None of the above. Agent of the center. Yes. Okay. Answer is none of the above. एबे बुझा पड़ला? Clear? How do you smile kari paribo? You look confused, dazed. Which one of the following constitutional authorities inquires and decides in case of doubts and disputes arising out of the election of President and Vice President of India? Easy question. Disputes alle kaha pa kujibe se mane? ଏଟା ଟି ମୁଁ ପଢିया ଦରକାର କି? ओके. से गुड़ा सब टिके बैकग्राउंड देख दवा जो पूर्व क्वेश्चन रो से or see reading you can give on your own. If I am explaining the background, we can just move forward with the discussion. Okay. Which one of the following? Eta hai Supreme Court. Okay. Next question. Consider the following: pardoning a death sentence, appointment of high court judges, promulgation of ordinances. In how many of the above cases the governor of state has equal powers with the president of India? Can a governor of a state pardon a death sentence? No. So this is wrong. Appointment of high court judges. Who appoints the high court judges? President appoints the high court judges. This is wrong. Promulgation of ordinances. It's correct. This is 123 is president, 213 is governor. Easy. So save clean. Answer is only one. Financial relations between center and the state. Consider the following statements. State has exclusive power to levy income tax on all income, including corporate income. Does it make sense? Income tax हम कहाँ को दूँ? Center को दूँ? State has exclusive power. States have exclusive power. No. Finance Commission recommends both tax devolution and grant in aid from center and states. Makes sense. Okay. GST's recommendations are not binding on the center but are binding on the states. True or false? False. तो क्या background है पढ़ ही दियो because there is concept नहीं just facts. States do not have exclusive power to levy income tax as per entry 82 on the union list. Only the center can levy income tax. Finance Commission, vertical devolution, horizontal devolution, grants in aid, you know the story. Okay, GST Council is a constitutional body. However, its recommendations are not binding on either the center or the states. Okay, but neither the center nor the states. It's just a recommendatory body. तापरे government कौन करिवो सेमान करिया चाहिए सेमान करियो. एटा कोर्ट रे एटा को केस रे कहै यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया वर्सेस मोहित मिनरल्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड. एथरे सुप्रीम कोर्ट कहला कि नो योर suggestions do not have a binding value. They are just recommendatory in nature. You make a note of this for your means. ठीक. Which of the following is correct regarding the suspension of fundamental rights during emergency? Okay. We know certain fundamental rights are automatically suspended. Certain can be suspended by the president by a written order. Certain cannot be suspended at all. Article 20 and 21. Correct. Now, accordingly, with that knowledge, let's try and solve this. Article 20 can be suspended by presidential order during an emergency. No. It was just coily. No. 20 and 21 cannot be suspended. Article 352. Okay. The president can suspend enforcement of certain fundamental rights during financial emergency. Financial emergency. Yes. Financial emergency रे तमे fundamental rights कहीं ये करियो. That's the confusion. तमे एटा देखो first instinct is ठीक. Correct. But each word is important. Financial emergency. Okay. States' power to make laws violating fundamental rights can continue even after the emergency ends. Again, extreme statement. Emergency sorry galani. Okay. Article 19 is automatically suspended during national emergency declared on grounds of war or external aggression. This is the correct statement. Okay. So, jodi kiye कहला Article 19 is automatically suspended during national emergency. Is it true or false? Jodi mu कहबी Article 19 is automatically suspended during national emergency. True or false? Kahinki? Yes. If it is because of internal disturbance, you cannot suspend Article 19. Thick? The blanket statement would be wrong. It has to be a qualified statement.
Sir, state's power to make laws violating fundamental rights, state law movement center fundamental right third statement, state's power to make laws violating fundamental rights.
देखो सेव कौन माने basically the logic here is yes I get why you are confused. ଯେତେ ବେଳେ emergency ଚାଲିଛି basically parliament सब law बनଉଛି ठीक ଅଛି. Now emergency when it has ended, okay, the state is back with its own set of powers. So until now the laws violating fundamental rights were being made by parliament, but now that emergency has ended, can the state continue to make those laws? No. So this is wrong. Take. Any confusion? No? Agudia? Consider the following situations. Hung assembly, allegations of corruption, acting against the constitution. According to the SR Bamai judgment of 1994, which of the above is a valid ground for imposing precedence rule under 356? Okay. Even if you don't know this, can this be worked out logically? You tell me by looking at the options. There is one key word here which will help you, solve the question fully. What is that keyword? Can you do something like this? Valid ground for imposing precedence rule under 3. Can you do something of this magnitude, of this scale? Precedence rule nahi asli mein gote state re. Just by allegations of corruption. At the least, logically mu kon bhabi exam hall re. The least it has to be is proof haba katha corruption. Allegations तो मुझे दी रूलिंग पार्टी रो अच्छी सो से नॉन रूलिंग पार्टी वाला तो allegations तो एमती ही लगे देबे मो उपरे तो जस्ट बिकॉज से allegation लगे देला तो सेंटर रो ऑर्डर आस जिवो कि माने करप्ट अछंती एंड चलो आको ऊपर स्टेट ऑर्डर कर दो नो राइट तो allegations of corruption can never be a ground that single word two incorrect only C is correct बस हे लाइन आंसर so whenever you see a question even if you don't know तारा background कौन ये कौन never rule out the possibility of solving it is what I'm trying to say. You can still solve it. Look for that one clue. And 7 empty korandi question set korandi where you have no idea what the question is about, but you will be able to solve it regardless. Okay. So allegations is that word here that you had to look out for. बुझले? Allegations तो daily चलचे हम पूरा parliament state समझते allegations ही तो करती है कौन करती किसे में With reference to Indian polity, consider the following statements. The word The word cabinet was inserted into the constitution by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. True or false? Okay, yeah, take a background later. So, 1975-6 emergency, Indira Gandhi. Basically, she acted on her own. She knew she was going to be arrested because of that Indira Gandhi versus Raj Narayan judgment. Okay, Allahabad High Court has directed ki tame arrest hobo. Ratarati, she went to the president. She got the note. Emergency. जाओ, ठीक है. पूरा देश गया भाड़ में. To prevent this, हमें अभी first question में कौन discuss करते हैं? 44th Amendment tried to right a lot of wrongs of the 42nd Constitutional Amendment. So the word cabinet was inserted by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, and it a quote likha hai ji. I'll show you. It is only written in one article throughout the Constitution. 352. Our quote hi tame paibani cabinet word. से कहले माने 44th कहला कि नहीं एथरो एनी प्राइम मिनिस्टर एमती पावर हंग्री प्राइम मिनिस्टर जदि एमती ग्रीडीली एक्ट करिवो वी कैन नॉट हैव दैट सो लेट्स मेक अ रूल कि जब तक ऑल द कैबिनेट मेंबर्स का रिटन सिग्नेचर नहीं आ जाता कि सर हमें इमरजेंसी चाहूँ छु तमे प्राइम मिनिस्टर यूनिलैटरली या फिर प्रेसिडेंट यूनिलैटरली इमरजेंसी आनी परिबा नाही ओके सो द प्रेसिडेंट शैल नॉट इश्यू एटा होची कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आर्टिकल 352 President shall not issue a proclamation under clause 1 or proclamation varying such unless the decision of the union cabinet. This is the only place in the constitution where you will find the word cabinet. Our somewhat a council of ministers, this, that, president, parliament, all okay. But cabinet, that is to say, council consisting of the prime minister and other ministers of cabinet rank appointed under article 375. जेतल जाए written proclamation तमे न आनिच a proclamation means written order, okay, that such a proclamation has been communicated to him in writing. तो president को एमती गोटे सब cabinet ministers को sign दरकार, prime minister रो sign दरकार, council of ministers नुए cabinet ministers को difference अच्छी you know the difference. There is a cabinet माने कितना selected council of ministers, not all council of ministers. Council of ministers तो 50, 55, 60 थांती, ठीक है जी. Minister of state, minister of this, minister of that. But cabinet is the select group of 8 to 10 members. PM Modi, Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, and some 4-5 more members, Anurag Thakur, yes. So all these some selected members जे कि cabinet रे गोटे high powered circle कि जहाँ करिवु आमे 6 जन 7 जन करिवु बाकी will just follow the orders. Okay. तांकर signature दरकार. ठीक है. This is the only place, and this was done by the 44th amendment. Okay. So our question was, the word cabinet was inserted into the constitution by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, which is true. Ministers of state are not members of the cabinet and do not attend cabinet meetings unless specially invited. एबे जहाँ मु कहली background सही हिसाब रे true. Ministers of state are not members of the cabinet. The Constitution of India has provisions for the office of Deputy Prime Minister. True or false? False. False. This is a post that they can create on their own if they want. And we did have the Deputy Prime Minister, I guess, 90s रे मत लागू छी ये थिले कि हाँ सीए डेप्यूटी प्राइम मिनिस्टर थिले हाँ हाँ यस 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 मुंडर बाहर जाई छी करेक्ट 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 133 only third हाँ 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 correct yes yes এটা খালি eliminate हे पारछे but some आजिकल टिके difficult हे गलान ना तो मे बी एमती ऑप्शन सेटिंग न भी करि पारंती कंफ्यूज करिया पे ठीक अछि तो you should know all the statements here. Okay. Okay, it out a case study based question. This I thought of. I had some UPSC training in Delhi. Sethi semane emtia questions pacharanti. So I thought why not introduce here in test series just to test your basic concepts. Okay. This is a case study. In response to a serious breakdown of law and order in a state, the President of India proclaims President's rule under Article 356. Subsequently, a few months later, due to certain internal disturbance and threat to national security, a national emergency under 356 is also imposed. So, in the same, माने धरो राजस्थान for example, सेठी हमें President's rule नहीं आसले, okay, किछि मास परे national emergency भी लागू हे गला, ठीक अछि. Following these developments, the state assembly is dissolved and the governor takes charge as per directions of the president. This is your option number 1. The enforcement of Article 19 is automatically suspended across India. This is your option number 2. The tenure of Lok Sabha is extended by 12 months. माने एया सब जिंसो हेला. This is the case study. तमको बतेबार अछि which of these are constitutionally valid. माने करा जाई थिबो. There is one or two at least options here which are not possible under the constitution, but they have been written here. You have to identify them. ठीक अछि. So one by step by step jiba. State assembly is dissolved and governor takes charge as per directions of the president. Yes, 356 data अछि. जेतबेले president's rule सेठी आसीबो, the state legislative assembly can be kept under, if you have read this term, animated suspension. Animated suspension. Okay. माने सेमाने सब घरे बसी कि दरमा स्टिल नेबे के चीफ मिनिस्टर स्टेट रो होम मिनिस्टर दिस मिनिस्टर दैट मिनिस्टर एमएलए सबु बट तांग पाखरे इफेक्टिवली पावर्स जीरो. द स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली इज नॉट फंक्शनिंग. ओके तो सेते बेले चार्ज किन होची अंडर द प्रेसिडेंट्स डायरेक्शन गवर्नर. ओके सो दिस इज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली वैलिड. एनफोर्समेंट ऑफ आर्टिकल 19 इज सस्पेंडेड अक्रॉस इंडिया. एटा ट्रू ना नहीं आउ थरे पढ़ो question out there padho and again look for that one word which will tell you yes threat to a national security, certain internal disturbance. This is constitutionally wrong because ame kon कहले only on grounds of war and external aggression. Correct. So this is wrong. Tenure of Lok Sabha is extended by 12 months. National emergency rate करा जाय परिबो. So 3 is correct. Answer is 1 and 3. तो एठी concepts का मतलब तुमको आउ किछ नुए. These are not factual questions, these are concept based questions. Okay. Easy question. Consider the following. Again word play एठी. Okay. Knowledge तमरो अच्छी but if you are going to make a mistake in these questions, it's only going to be because you are not reading the questions properly. Why reading the questions is important. Consider the following. These are the reports. How many of the above are laid before the Parliament by the President of India? ठीक है. Annual financial statement of the Union. Budget. Article 112. Report of the Comptroller and Auditor General relating to the accounts of the states. You'll see that. Reports of UPSC. Yes. Reports of Finance Commission. Yes. Why this might be wrong? What is that one word again? States. CA0 report जो relating to states is laid before the governor of the respective state. CA0 report regarding Odisha is laid before the governor of Odisha. But report of comptroller to the accounts of the center is related by the president. So this is what you have to identify. Statement 2, option 2 here is wrong. So the answer is only 3. Okay. Which reference to the Parliament of India? Factual question. Which of the following parliamentary committees scrutinizes and reports to the House whether the power to make regulations, rules, sub-rules, bylaws, etc. conferred by the Constitution or delegated by the Parliament are being properly exercised by the executive within the scope of such delegation? ठीक है. Easy question. Subordinate legislations. You just have to understand it ଚାଲିଛି କ'ଣ ମାନେ କ'ଣ ହେଇଥାଏ ପାରେ. ठीक है, बुझिया चेष्टा करिया. एटा बहुत बड़ा. We'll just break them down part by part. Whether the power to make regulations, sub-rules, bylaws, powers to make this conferred by the Constitution is one part, or delegated by the Parliament are being properly exercised is the last part. We broke down the statement to small parts. Now we'll try to make sense of it. Okay. जहाँ भी powers conferred by the Constitution or delegated by the Parliament are being exercised in the right spirit or not, or within the scope of such delegation or not. Okay. Government on ଏଠି ଗୋଟେ word ଅଛି Committee on Subordinate Legislations. The two connections that you have to make here, ଟିକେ ଏଠି English ଭଲ ହବା ଦରକାର. ଯଦି ତମେ answer ଜାଣିଛ ତାହେଲେ ଜାଣିଛ. If you are trying to find it out logically, guess करके कि क्या हो सकता है. Two words that you have to see here. One is delegation, one is subordinate. If you can make connection between these two words, you'll be able to solve the question regardless of whether or not you originally knew the answer. Okay. Delegate. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ କାମ ମୋ employee को delegate कली. Why? Because he is subordinate to me. I am the employer. I am delegating my task to him because I have some other work, and he has to say yes. Why? Because he is subordinate to me. Delegation, subordinate. तो जदि तमें connection बाहर कर दिला, the answer can be solved. Okay. With reference to Rajya Sabha, consider the following statements. While Rajya Sabha participates in legislative process for money bills, its recommendations are essentially advisory. Yes, true. While Rajya Sabha participates in the legislative process for money bills, yes, ଯେତେବେଳେ ବି ଲୋକସଭାରେ money bill pass ହେଉଛି, ରାଜ୍ୟସଭାକୁ ସେମାନେ ପଠଉଛନ୍ତି ନା कि 14 दिन ଭିତରେ ଆମକୁ ये କହିକି ଦିଅ. Recommendations are essentially advisory. Yes, it's a very easy question. Principle of state representation in Rajya Sabha is designed to ensure that all states have equal representation. True or false? False. All states have proportionate representation. Proportionate to what? Population. सबसे highest Rajya Sabha seats कहाँ? कितना? 31. उत्तर प्रदेश 31. ओडिशा कितने? Removal process of vice president is initiated in the Rajya Sabha, but the Lok Sabha's approval is necessary for the final decision. True or false? Third टा पढ़ा बोल से. True, false. Madam, आपना? You are still trying to work it out? Okay. Read. ती पाणी पिलं. So this statement is correct because constitution लिखा है कि removal process has to be started in the Rajya Sabha and agreed to by the Lok Sabha. And when we say agreed to by a simple resolution necessary for the which basically means Lok Sabha approval. Okay, so this statement is correct. As members of the Rajya Sabha, nominated individuals naturally participate in all parliamentary processes, including presidential elections, which is a false statement. Excluding presidential elections. Most times they allowed nominated members. I said nominated members are called history one, background. Who can the president nominate? Experts in what? Science. Okay. Sports no. Science. Yes. Sachin Tendulkar जो nominate थे, बेटा को wonder है nominate. Sports तो नहीं. Art. Cricket. It's an art. मैंने तब हमें justify करो करिए. Art is is subject to interpretation, right? Who is an artist? For you, artist may be someone. For me, artist may be someone. Yeah. This is a factual question. Members of how many members does the Committee on Public Undertakings comprise? Answer is 15 from Lok Sabha and 7 from Rajya Sabha. Just facts, pure facts, no background for this. Let's move on to the next question. You either know this or you don't. If the question is, if the exam if the question jani no, leave it. Don't try to make a guess there. Okay. Not every question is supposed to be attempted in the exam. And anyway, Odisha OPSC exam cutoffs 85, 90. Last year to was 52, 53. MTV jaitla. You know that. That means what? You have to get 30, 40 questions right out of 100. If you go by that logic. So does that mean we need to attempt all 100 questions? No. We can leave so many questions if we want. Okay. We just have to get right some 40, 50 questions max. Okay. Consider the following statements regarding Office of Profit in India. Yes. Now that you know what is Office of Profit, you tell me again what is Office of Profit? Office of Profit is any office where there is some sort of financial or monetary gain. Why is it a debatable or a problematic thing in India? Because see, as member of the parliament or member of the legislature, you are supposed to keep the government in check. The government is supposed to be accountable to the Lok Sabha. Okay. So, as an honest member of the Lok Sabha, you are supposed to ask questions to the government. Eta kahi helani? Abhisre kon korucho? Kon policy aniko? A policy empty kahi achi? A changes ano? So you are supposed to ask these hard, difficult questions to them. But if they are paying you in some form or the other, can we trust that your questions or your intentions will be value neutral? No, you will be influenced. But the government paisa dochi, वो government against के question करते हैं, यदि पैसा मिलने बंद है. So that is the whole logic of Office of Profit, which is why Office of Profit is in general excluded from a lot of things. Okay, and by a lot of things I mean multiple places in the Constitution. If I just search for the term there is not a search करिए there. A person shall not be eligible for election as vice president if he holds any office of profit. Next, a person shall be disqualified for being chosen as member of either House of Parliament if he chooses an office of profit, if he holds an office of profit. The governor shall not hold any other office of profit, because this is any other office of profit. He is already holding an office of profit. Okay, but any other office of profit is how say qualified. So that this is the whole logic of office of profit. If the government is paying you, you will never remain honest. Even if you remain honest, we cannot trust that you will remain honest. Okay, and you will not ask government the right questions. This is the account. Basically, it's an accountability tool. If we have been here about it. Okay, technical about it. So now let's go back to the question. The Constitution of India doesn't define the term office of profits. This is true. Just passing reference to mention H. Could be definition 9. Definition Supreme Court over the years ଗୋଟେ evolution ତାର ଗୋଟେ simple definition ଦେଇଛି. Some sort of financial gain or monetary gain. Okay. This is true. Disqualification of a member of parliament for holding an office of profit is decided by the President of India based on the advice of the presiding officer of the house. True or false? I think it's election commission, not presiding officer. This is correct. Yes. President is constitutionally bound to act according to the opinion of the election commission, not presiding officer. This is Article 103. Okay. Decision on questions as to disqualification of members. If any question arises as to whether a member of either House of Parliament has become subject to any of the disqualifications mentioned in Article 102, Clause 1. ଏହା ସବୁ ପାଇଁ ତମେ disqualify ହେଇପାରିବ. If any question arises as to dispute, ଜଣେ କହିବ କି ନାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗେ ଭୁଲ ହେଇଛି, ସେ decision ଟା କାହା ପାଖରେ, the question shall be referred to the decision of the president and his decision shall be final. And ତା ତଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ caveat ଅଛି next page ରେ. Before giving any decision on any such question, the president shall obtain the opinion of the election commission. Say statement ରେ ଅଛି presiding officer, which is okay. The Parliament has the power to make laws specifying which officers do not disqualify their holders from being members of the Parliament. And the law Parliament has the authority. The Parliament Prevention of Disqualification Act 1959 indicated office of profit mentioned achi. Jadi achi, then you are holding an office of profit and hence you are not eligible for so and so. And the same way, they have also mentioned exemptions. Okay. Even though this person is taking money from me, it will not be considered an office of profit because we have exempted that. Sonia Gandhi was infamous for, Congress government was infamous for exempting Robert Vadra. Because in some case, Robert Vadra is a son-in-law. Okay, is her son-in-law. So in some case, office of profit, airport check पे कौन होता है? बहुत सारे exemptions दिया है इतला तंगो join करी, बुझलो? So exempting certain officers from disqualification. So this is true. Secret sitting. The speaker can allow a secret sitting of the Lok Sabha under which of the following articles? The answer is Rule 248 of Lok Sabha rules. Okay. Factual question again. Either you know it or you don't. If you don't, leave it. Okay. Who presides over the joint sitting of a parliament when the speaker is absent and the deputy speaker's office is vacant? Logical. Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Correct or good? Or good? Thank you. Yes, correct. He is not a part of the parliament. बिल्कुल सही जवाब. A member appointed by the President of India. Okay, this will make more sense if we read the other options. The President of India? No. Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Makes a little more logical sense. Okay. Speaker nahanti. Deputy Speaker nahanti. Rajya Sabha Chairman hey paribani. So next in line ke Deputy Chairman of the Rajya Sabha. Logic. Just pure logic. Okay. कोड़ा पहला हाँ शेयर पहले पर एक क्वेश्चन से if you don't know don't guess either you know or you don't okay गोटे जिनसा हे परिबो एटी दीटा ऑप्शन इट क्लियरली एलिमिनेट हे परिबो जय तमे बेयर एक्ट पढुछ जेमति मु तमु पढुछ ओके इफ यू रिलेटिंग बेयर एक्ट तो यू नो कि आर्टिकल 118 आर्टिकल 93 में आई नेवर केम अक्रॉस द वर्ड सीक्रेट सिटी दिस वन यू विल रिमेंबर हम आर्टिकल 93 भी पढिछि 118 भी पढिछि सब से पार्लियामेंट रिलेटेड जिनस सीक्रेट सिटी वर्ड ता मु कोठी भी देखिनि कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में ए दिटा आर्टिकल ही नथि बी और डी हेतिबो एति कि जाय मु आसी परिबी एग्जाम में now D kono it depends on the discretion of the speaker and is based on parliamentary convention this is actually possible eliminate he paribo okay so if you know or you don't you just empty question OPSC pacharchu boli I just put this question sir okay this is a difficult one you have to basically leave it okay according to the constitution of India which of the above grounds are grounds for disqualification of member of parliament ए भी पढुथिले हैला but again एथि तमे कोठी फसिबो आइ टाइप if found guilty of corrupt practices in elections convicted for any offense resulting in imprisonment of 2 or more years true failure to lodge an account of his election expenses within a stipulated time true holding any office of profit true but is answer all for should be all for but according to the constitution of India these three are written in Representation of People Act 1951 only this is under the constitution of India office of profit so even if these three are technically true they do not meet the requirements of the question these three are actually wrong I mean they are true they are not wrong they are true କିନ୍ତୁ ସେମାନେ according to the constitution of India ने constitution of India माने constitution रे कोन लेखा हैछि मते को constitution रे तीनटा मेंशन है okay 23 right Representation of People Act रे लेखा हैछि ए सब जिंस okay constitution रे only thing that is written is office of profit right आउरी कोन लेखा हैछि देखो 101 रे pages पढुले 102 1 if he holds any office of profit if he is of unsound mind and stands so declared by a competent court pagal हे जति मुंडो काम करने if he is an undischarged insolvent bankrupt हे जति if he is not a citizen of India or has voluntarily acquired the citizenship of a foreign state so a chapter ro जति or if he is disqualified by or under any law made by the parliament. Now this is where that Representation of People Act is coming from. Okay. Seta bhi emti randomly asini. Any law made by the parliament. From here you get RPA 1951 and from there you get all those three provisions that you have seen. So jodi say office of profit sangre but fifth option thanta if he is an undischarged insolvent that would have been correct according to the constitution of India jodi seti thanta if he is not a citizen of India that would have been correct according to the constitution of India but since seti achi these three options these are on RPA 1951 okay. So the answer here is only one Which of the following bills require prior recommendation of the President for introduction in the Parliament? A bill that varies the extent to which non-agricultural income shall be exempt from income tax, a money bill, a bill seeking to alter the boundaries of the state, a bill seeking to amend the Constitution of India. Money coil, I think, which is not an option here. It is not an option. Is to amend the Constitution. It is not an option. एथिक तो हमें जानते हैं. तो हमें 4 को आगे eliminate कर दो if 4 is in some option. Okay. Only one option is getting eliminated. We are still left with 3. Money bill. Money bill में जाता है. So हम पाके ए सुधा कौन ये रहेगा 1 2 3 1 and 2 2 and 3. So ए सुधा भी we cannot arrive at any answer. ए भी तीन options all alive. ठीक है. Bill seeking to alter the boundaries of a state. This is interesting. Article 3. Formation of new states and alteration of areas. Yes. Parliament may by law form a new state, increase the area of the state, diminish the area of the state, alter the boundaries of the state, alter the name of the state. Okay, all these things Parliament can do, provided that no bill for the purpose shall be introduced in either house except on the recommendation of the President. Okay. On the recommendation of the President. Article 3. Okay. So that option is also correct. A bill seeking to alter the boundaries. If I am only 2 and 3 are definitely correct. Can we still now arrive at the answer without looking at one? No. C 2 and 3 achi, A 1 2 and 3 achi. So now one row in knowledge हमको था. Okay. A bill that varies the extent to which non-agricultural income shall be exempt from income tax. This is true actually. This is Article 170. If I am not wrong. Under Article 117, any bill involving expenditure or affecting taxation requires the President's recognition. ठीक है. 110 money bill and Article 3 money bill. So answer is 1, 2 and 3. We are technical depth required for to solve for your time, but I think you should be able to do it. Okay. With reference to state legislative assemblies in India, consider the following statements. Its strength depends on the population size of the concerned state. True or false? Sorry, कोटी लोग अच्छे constitutions and seats से हिसाब रे body यदि तो मैं 10 लाख के लोग अच्छे just one small person to be elected to the legislative assembly must be an elector for an assembly constitution in the concerned state. Okay. तो यदि मु छिड़ा हबो चाहूची राजस्थान रो elections हे परिबे कि इलेक्टर हबा कथा राइट सेटिकार इलेक्टोरल रोल रे मो ना नाही तो मु राजस्थान ने छिड़ाई परिबे मो ना अछि मो स्टेट तो मु मो स्टेट रे कोठी छिड़ाई बट राज्य सभा इलेक्शंस रे मु जदी ओडिसा को बिलोंग करछि कैन आई फाइट फॉर अ राज्य सभा सीट फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र that is allowed. Okay. Its maximum strength is fixed at 500 and minimum strength at 60 for all states in India. No. This is the general rule, but there are some exceptions. Sikkim, ye wo. The extreme statement word here is all states. Okay. Arunachal, Sikkim, Goa, have a minimum strength fixed at 30 members, while Mizoram has 40 and Nagaland has 46. We don't need the exact figures, we just need to know these facts. Then empty sub states where Article 171 explicitly mentioned 500 maximum, 60 minimum, but exceptions have been made by the Parliament. Okay. Article 173, Section 5 of the RPA, person must be an elector. Yes. Article 171, such a manner that ratio between population of each constituency and the number of seats allocated, so far as practicable, same throughout the state. तापर यार तुम्हें हिस्ट्री जानचो 1981 रो सेंसस रे फ्रीज कर दी चंती पॉपुलेशन एबे नुआ सेंसस रे से पे नुआ सब स्टैट्स आसे को जाउची सेतेले कर देथिले बिकॉज़ नॉर्थ रो पॉपुलेशन बहुत फास्ट बढ़ुथला population control all those aspects you know. And maybe we'll discuss them again in some other aspect, but our question पे एबे पे the president can nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha who have special knowledge in fields such as literature, science, art, and social service. I think I'm in Polish. 26. No, no, ठीक है. मेरे को आवड़ी question. Okay. Confused. ठीक है. Governor can, okay, with the next point able to confuse. Governor can nominate up to 1/6 of total members of the state legislative council from among persons with special knowledge or practical experience in fields like agriculture, science, or cooperative movement. So false. Depth of knowledge. Agriculture 9. Social services and cooperative. Science, cooperative movement is correct. Agriculture is not correct. Okay. Nominated members of state legislative councils have equal voting rights in the election of legislative council chairman and deputy chairman. This question is important because there is many Odisha specific questions pachachati. So consider the following statements with regards to Odisha legislative assembly. They can ask. Okay. So you can get questions like this. Same jinsa, खाली Odisha रा ना देगी गोटे Odisha-based बने देगा. Okay. So आमर तो legislative council आमर तो नहीं. But still, these parts are important. Okay. Equal voting rights in election of legislative council chairman and deputy chairman. This is correct. Okay. In the city, they are part of the parliament and take part in elections of president, nominated members. But set up भूल थिला. But एथी इटा correct. Because एथी election of who कहाँ बिसरे पता चले. Legislative council chairman and deputy chairman. ये सब तो एक गुन्ना मानू को बनाया जाए basically. If you see the history of those states having it. जो मैंने सब एथर इलेक्शन से पाई लेनी टिकट पाई थी किंतु हारी गले तांको सब सेकंड चेंबर रे पसे दियंती हो जा तू ओडे सीट नहीं जा तू ओडे सीट नहीं जा तू ओडे सीट नहीं जा एमती करन तो तांको इलेक्शन पाई आउ काई किसी से माने एक्सेप्शंस बनेले तू नॉमिनेटेड तू आरो इलेक्शन में कर पाई ओके नो सेमती किछ दे कैन ओके सो दैट टेक्स केयर ऑफ दिस assertion reasoning. There is in assertion reasoning questions, there is always one statement followed by the other, and the four options are fixed. Either statement 2 is explaining statement 1, both are correct. Either statement 2 is not explaining statement 1, both are correct. One is correct, one is false, one is false, one is false. These options are fixed, always. So you always have to see, is this explaining this? First you have to, obviously, the step-by-step process is, first देखो, both are correct or not. ठीक अच्छी ना. यदि ठीक अच्छी, the next step is, this should be explaining this. If not, your answer is B. If yes, your answer is A. And accordingly, C or D. Okay. The Council of Ministers continues to hold office even after the dissolution of the Lok Sabha. True or false? Lok Sabha has been dissolved. Elections can be announced any moment. But the Council of Ministers option they still in office. True or false? If true, why? administrative power रे gap आसपारी president needs to still sign state भलाई हवा पाई उन्नति हवा पाई जहाँ भी orders pass करेगा और president एटा discretionary power तो तांगा नहीं किसी okay तो ताऊ के दो ये सब जे थिले last council of ministers ठीक ଅଛି elections ଆସିବ ନୂଆ government ଆସିବ କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେ ଦିନ ଆସିନି you people keep working and passing the bills or the signs or whatever. So to maintain a sense of continuity, this thing has been done. And statement 2 is the president cannot exercise executive power without the aid and advice of the council of ministers. I just said that. Correct. So yes, because the president cannot exercise executive power without the aid and advice of the council of ministers, the council of ministers continue to hold office. Okay. So your procedure is, can I use a because here and hence here? If this part, okay, you start from here, you start with the because here, you go to a hence here. If it is making sense, your answer is always. Just use this logic. Because hence. Jodi, because for a hence it will not make sense, which we'll see in future tests. You will get a lot of answer B's also. Okay. ସେଠି will see कि किसी ଗୋଟେ logical gap ରହିବ, logical discrepancy ରହିବ. Hence रे sense ମାନେ होउनी, hence टा fit होउनी. But एठी hence टा perfectly fit होଉଛି. ठीक है? बुझ You look confused again. Right? Which of the following is true regarding cabinet committees in India? Cabinet committees are constitutional bodies. No, they are extra constitutional bodies. Okay. Prime Minister heads all the cabinet committees. No. Cabinet committee for parliamentary affairs and accommodation. It is generally all ministers को दिया जाए. केवल home minister, केवल defense minister, केवल साहब. Cabinet committees are based on the principle of division of labor and delegation. Makes a lot of sense. Okay. कौन? Principle of division of labor and delegation. कि एक काम को हम divide कर लेते हैं अपने आप में. तो parliamentary affairs देख लो, तुम accommodation देख लो, तुम कुछ ये department देख लो, तुम वो department देख लो. Division of labor and delegation. Prime Minister delegating to his council of ministers. Again, say subordinate delegation wala same. Cabinet committees cannot take independent decisions. If this is already correct, then these are all. Which article of the Constitution provides for establishment of parliamentary committees? Okay, very factual question. You have to know. You either know it or you don't. The only way you can eliminate is, I'll tell you how. Eta hochi constitutional amendment. No. Eta hochi something related to Supreme Court. No. Eta hochi money bill. Eta is elimination. And eta कौन exactly? Article 118 empower. Each house of the parliament may make rules for regulating its procedure and its conduct of business. Okay. बस एतिकी. एठो हमें इन्फर करछे कि पार्लियामेंट जदि each house माने लोकसभा and राज्यसभा तांको निजो बिजनेस कंडक्ट करिया पई निजो रूल्स बनै पारिबे to its procedure and conduct of business. So they have come up with their own committees to function. एठो एटा इन्फर होछ. Directly लेखा है पार्लियामेंट कमिटी से. But ये जो rules of allocation of business, rules of ये जो हमें पढ़ ले secret sitting and all those, ये सब rules कोड होछ. ये सब randomly तो से मैंने बने ना थे ना, because constitution में लिखा है कि each house of the parliament may make rules for their own. Okay. तो से सब पावर तांको मिलुची ए आर्टिकल तो सेमती कमिटीज भी बनुचନ୍ତି ए आर्टिकल ठीक अछि 100 nothing that goes on in the parliament or for that matter in India's polity is random. Everything is being derived from some inferred word or some provision or some keyword of this document, of this one single document. Okay, nothing is random. So the following statements about the Speaker of the Lok Sabha is not correct. He shall vacate his office if, again, not correct for chalna. There is confusion habo. You start searching for the correct ones and then mark them wrong. Okay. He shall vacate his office if he ceases to be member of the house. This is a correct statement. The wrong statement. He shall vacate his office if he ceases, when he stops being a member of the house. This is correct. So this cannot be an answer or answer. He may at any time resign by writing his resignation to the President of India. कहाँ को देगा resignation? अब এটা लिखा है आर्टिकल 92 रे आईएस लिखा है 94 whenever you are reading polity you see something you immediately आजकल तो आगो बढ़िया ये भी दरकार नहीं बेयर एक्ट और बॉडी एंड ऑल તમે किसी नहीं તમે તમારી ફોન में નો tab एथिकल टाइप को आर्टिकल just to see your quick glance मुझे तो सर्च करना पड़ती बात है because I'm teaching in a formal way 94 में कौन लिखा है Speaker must vacate their office if they cease to be a member of the House of the People. They may resign by writing to other, that is Speaker of the Deputy Speaker and vice versa. Okay. So 94 may at any time by writing under his hand to the Deputy Speaker. Okay. Resign his office. मैंने इतने legal language में ये देखो confuse है जो but basically what is written here is if the Speaker is resigning you can write to the Deputy Speaker. If the Deputy Speaker is resigning you can write to the Speaker. Okay. If such member resign his office. Okay. So next data statement just for the sake of completion. He may be removed from his office by a resolution of House of People passed by majority of all the then members of the House. जो टाइम में चलची ओम बिरला against it. Okay, they have got no confidence motion against Om Birla. Put in their notice all that is going on right now. While the office of the then members of the House money effective majority. What is effective majority? So if there have been some deaths or some removals, yes. 543 minus any sort of dismissals, removals or whatever. While the office of the Speaker is vacant, the duties of the office shall be performed by the Deputy Speaker. Makes sense. Okay. Which are the statements regarding the composition of Niti Aayog is or are correct? Prime Minister of India is the ex officio chairman of Niti Aayog. True. Vice chairperson of Niti Aayog is appointed by the Prime Minister. True. Facts, pure facts. Governing Council of Niti Aayog includes the Chief Minister of all the states and the Lieutenant Governors of Union Territories. Nothing to teach here, just facts. Who is a lame duck politician? এটা তো লক্ষ্মীকান্ত question. এটা কোটে লেখা है, constitution में लिखा है. Just a famous term. Okay. How? या तो re-elect हेबे नहीं, या तो टिकट पहले हारी गए, या तो छिड़ाई होगा. Both categories. A politician who has lost a re-election bid but continues to hold office until the end of the term. An incumbent member who has announced that they will not seek re-election. Okay. A candidate running again for office in a system without term limits? No, this is contradictory. A pro tem speaker? Elections are real. 543 members are now here. Who will run the first, first official day? Key would that die possible chair. Is appointed by the President of India to preside over the first sitting of the newly elected. So the following expenditures are charged on the consolidated fund of India. Okay. Debt charges for which the government of India is liable. Yes. Many things will make a lot of natural sense to you. I think you confuse over na. Hela. Eta hochina nai nervousness rahi to main bahut din se bol kar raha hu. Okay. Yes, this makes total natural sense. Okay. Pensions payable to the judges of a high court. Now there is a chance this might not make natural sense. Why? Because high court lekha this in general salary high court ro Odisha government pay କରୁଛି pension तो in general Odisha government को ही pay करेगा था but no constitution में लिखा है salaries and pensions of Supreme Court judgment next statement pensions of high court judgment salaries and pensions तो salary की दोची state government दोची but pension central दोची okay so consolidated fund of state को जिबो salary consolidated fund of India को जिबो pension only in case of high court judges. Okay, remember this distinction. Administrative expenses of the Supreme Court. Yes. Any sums required to satisfy an award of the court. All correct. I suppose you go to. So let's start with 112. Salary, allowances, pensions payable to judges of the Supreme Court, pensions payable to judges of the Federal Court, which is High Court. Okay. Federal Court is here. It is the next statement. Federal Court doesn't exist in India. In 1950s, it's allowed a Federal Court to take conceptual even pensions payable to judges of India, High Court, which exercise jurisdiction in India. Okay. Any sums required to satisfy an award? Last option. Sums required to Supreme Court. Polity go. Achi, suppose. In Article 112. Should I have to look at? Regarding money bills, which of the following statements is not correct? So, I again देखिए quota correct and double wrong one. If a bill shall be deemed to be a money bill if it contains only provisions related to imposition, abolition, remission, alteration, or regulation of any tax. True. So, this is not correct. A money bill has provisions for the custody of the consolidated fund of India or the contingency fund of India. Let's see. आगे बढ़ते हैं. I'm not sure. As a student, I'm not sure. A money bill is concerned with the appropriation of money out of contingency fund of India. Now I know कि ये शायद गलत ही था, ये शायद गलत ही था, okay. Out of the consolidated fund. Since I have moved, my background is not some sort of legal training, or I'm not a polity expert. I'm a student. So I'm giving you first-hand tips on how to solve this in the exam. Professor एक लेता हूँ तो वो पूरा background देगी कौन नहीं कौन तो बिल करता है. We don't need that much of field. We just need to be civil servants who have a basic knowledge of everything around us. So these are all your example tips. As a student वो जानिए तो वो next option पे चुकी. Next option वो clear है लगा 8 out chance. तो मोरो जानिए तो क्या नहीं. And now since I am also a teacher now I can show you the solution. 110A Constitution states that imposition, abolition, permission, regulation, regulation. 110C custody of consolidated fund and the contingency fund. 110(1) state that the money bill relates to the appropriation of money out of consolidated fund, not the contingency fund. Article 267. Okay. And then statement 4 includes the regulation of borrowing of money or giving of any guarantee by money. Easy question basically, but a lot of technical details are there. Office of Vice President of India consider the following statements. He can act as president only for a maximum period of 6 months within which a president has to be elected. I think 62. While acting as the president, he does not perform the duties of the chairperson of Rajya Sabha. तो एक वेले की परफॉर्म करेगा एज चेयरपर्सन ऑफ राज्य सभा. आगे हमें फेडरल स्ट्रक्चर को वापस आसे थोड़ा आगे पढ़ते हैं. Quasi-federal and all. India is an example of a coming together type of federation. How many types of federation are there? 2 types. What are they? Coming together and holding together. Coming together is US. All those northern states, southern states, they decide कि चलो ठीक है, हो गया अपना स्लेव वॉर हो गया, अमेरिकन सिविल वॉर हो गया, अब एक देश बनाते हैं, कुछ लॉस तुम्हारे लिए, कुछ लॉस हमारे लिए, लेकिन together we are stronger. They themselves come forward. Okay, that is coming together. But actually we are holding together because we had to hold them in order to make India. Otherwise, if they were free, they would have gone to Pakistan. Some would have remained independent. Some would have done this. Some would have done that. That's holding together and coming together. Now, India is an example of a coming together type of federation. Wrong. मैंने बुझा पड़ा था concept. 80 states माने निजो इच्छा रे India आसना. There is some sort of coercion in here. कि India आ जाओ इतना पैसा दे देंगे. India आ जाओ तुम्हें आज़ाद कर देंगे. तुम्हें ये rights दे देंगे, वो rights दे देंगे. लेकिन अगर पाकिस्तान की तरफ जाना चाहते हो तो मैं आर्मी लेके आता हूँ. So there is some sort of coercion. So this is not an example of coming together. This is an example of holding together. The term federation is explicitly mentioned in Article 1 of the Constitution. What is mentioned? India is a union of states. India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. That's it. Article 1. Okay. In case of a dispute over the division of powers between center and the states, the Parliament is the final authority. Supreme Court. What level? Article 131. Original jurisdiction. In case of any dispute, आगे पढ़ ले Article 131. First, second की third question. Okay. The Indian federal system resembles the Canadian model due to its centralizing tendencies and preference for the term. Canada में जहाँ हम से basically very heavy in Spain. Okay, answer is only. Consider the statements with reference to impeachment of the President of India. So 40 जाए ही politics. The first are totally current affairs question which you can read on your own. So we will stop at 40. Okay, those are all just facts, current affairs that you are supposed to complete on your own. Consider the following statements with reference to impeachment of the President of India. And anyway, current affairs discussion next sir maybe. Okay, so you will cover them in some way or the other. Consider the following statement with respect to impeachment of president. Constitution of India does not define the term violation of constitution for impeachment. Just लिखा है जी, if he violates the constitution, that's it. Violates the constitution कौन? No one knows. Who knows? That too on a case by case basis. Basically, this has never happened in the history of India and mostly will never happen in the history of India. मैंने co-president के भी impeachment motion पढ़ा है नहीं केବେ. Supreme Court judge ପାଇଁ ଆସିଛି ବହୁତ ସାରା. President ପାଇଁ କେବେ ଆସିନି. ଠିକ ଅଛି. It's a very respected office. Old 85-year-old people just sitting in the office and signing and going on tours and this. काहेंगे ताऊ impeach कराबो. They never indulge in politics. Okay. Some strong level-headed presidents have also come, like Abdul Kalam Azad and because ସେମାନେ veto କରି ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ bill ପଠେଇ ଦେଇଥିଲେ वापस. कि देखो ये गलत है. I think ଗୋଟେ bill ଆସିଥିଲା पेप्सु को नहीं ଗୋଟେ bill ଆସିଥିଲା 50s रे 60s रे. Then ଗୋଟେ bill ଆସିଥିଲା राजीव गांधी ଗୋଟେ bill ଆଣିଥିଲେ ଯୋଉଠି କି ଲୋକଙ୍କର phone tapping वैपिंग ସବୁ गवर्नमेंट को पावर दिया होता. तो प्रेसिडेंट पहले ना ये बिल को अलाउ करिबेनी पॉकेट veto यूज कले. श्रीलंका को नहीं कौन टे बिल आनिଥିଲା इंडियन गवर्नमेंट सेटा अब्दुल कलाम आजाद said no, will not, I'll not allow this. But that was not politics. That was just, you know, asserting that something is not right here. Because if they send the bill to him again, he's bound to sign it, right? This is what the law says. But if he sends it back, what it does is it allows media to enter. It allows people to debate. It allows more brainstorming, more critical thinking. So एमती केतेटा प्रेसिडेंट आछंती जे गोटे स्टैंड नहीं चंती. But एमती के भी दरकार करने की impeach करो and all. Okay. So you just have to know this. That's it. The impeachment charges can be initiated by either House of Parliament. True or false? Parliamentary and presidential systems of government. In parliamentary system, the executive is responsible to the legislature, whereas in the president system, the executive is independent of the legislature. True? Depends on Trump निज joining निज सांग ने तू गोटे portfolio संभाल, तू गोटे portfolio संभाल, तू गोटे portfolio संभाल. That is not done in India, right? India रे जे सब लोकसभा attend सेमा नहीं है. But SETI says spoiled system. It's called a spoiled system. Okay. Whoever you want to, you just give them the position. The degree of strictness of separation of power is higher in the presidential system. What is separation of power? Yes. तो एठी हमें देखु छु कहीं ना कहीं there is an overlap. ठीक अछि. जे एग्जीक्यूटिव रे अछि से ही लेजिस्लेचर रे अछि निज पई जाई सेठी बिल पास करछि तापर एठी आसी कि से ही ये करछि. तो all these things are there. Okay. But in presidential system, US Congress पूरा होगा. प्रेसिडेंट रो निजर ही पूरा होगा. Okay. एमती किसी माने overlap थिले भी degree of strictness is very high. Okay. Both parliamentary and presidential system allow for a vote of no confidence to remove the head of state. Presidential system में जो Trump administration asked no confidence multiple times. Confused हो जाएगी. No such mechanism exists in presidential system due to the fixed tenure for executive. तारा impeachment पे आस्ते. There is nothing called no confidence. ठीक है confused कर ली पूरा confused है. So statement 1 is correct. Can be removed through a vote of no confidence. US president is independent of legislature and cannot be removed. Statement 2 is correct. There is a fusion of powers. Members of executive also are part of the legislature. But presidential system में the degree of strictness is very high. Statement 3 is incorrect. Okay. system of proportional representation. In which of the following scenarios is the electoral system of proportional representation not necessary? What is the system of proportional representation? मैंने खाली वर्ड रू ही डिराइव करियो बोले बीजेपी को मिलला 50% वोट्स, कांग्रेस को मिलला 30% वोट्स, जेडीयू एसपी ये से मिसेकी 5-10 5-10 5-10 जदि 1% हिसाब रे आमे ताको सीट्स एलोकेट कर देले, that becomes system of proportional representation. But is that the case in India? No. No. It is first past the post system. माने जदि तब माने बीजेपी से ना एते परसेंटेज माने एते हाई अछि एंड मेजॉरिटी रे अछि, तो बीजेपी रे वोट शेयर इज अ mere 32 or 33%. हाँ एनडीए it's a mere 32 or 33%. But से खाली सही constituency रे सही बीजेपी leader outscores the other leaders. Okay. मैंने बुझुचो the math here, can you understand the math here? Vote share ଆଉ winning सांगेरे that there is a difference. Total votes जे तमे देखिबो just 30 or 33 or 34%. किंतु यदि total seats देखिबो it's above 50, it was above 50% last time because the BJP did not need any ally. This time they need allies. NDA 240 plus 53, they have 293 seats. Okay. So they had almost 60% members last time. Okay, but 33% votes. So what is going on here? Right? What is the key here? So basically, every constituency you have BJP, INC, you have some other random ATC party. Okay, and then you have the number. So ये 60,328 votes, ये 59,428 votes, ये 10,000 votes, ये 5,000 votes, ये 1,000 votes. ठीक है, जितना कि ये जितना, but ये just about 59,000 के थे ना, तो vote share was still about 50%, right? Right. So now this is constituency number 1. You go to constituency number 2. Again 61,000, 30,000, 1,000 something. कोई बीजेपी हारला, उसकी अगर हारला जमा 5,000 वोट से, बीजेपी आईएनसी हारला लक्ष्य वोट. Okay, if you add this, we'll again see vote share में difference है. Okay, किंतु एमपीआर seats बहुत कम. These seats are very less. Hence, BJP is winning more. बुझा कुछ logic? So this is the basic math of first past the post system. You score more, you win. Doesn't matter what is your vote share. But system of proportional representation, your vote percentage हिसाब रे your seats will be decided. 50%, 25%, 25% जो ये है गला, ताले 50% seats तमरा, 25% seats तमरा, 35% seats तमरा. This is the basic. Okay. Now, which are the following scenarios? Is the electoral system of proportional representation not necessary? Okay. So, हमें देखिए कोड necessary and then cross मारता है. Where there are no reserved constituencies. ठीक है, confusion हो जी. Next option. Let's read the next option. Where a two-party system has developed. A two-party system has developed. City first past the post system. Multiple party system thile we need proportional representation. Okay. Two-party system, you will not need. It is just two-party system. If one gets 59%, the other has to get 41%, right? So your answer is B, basically. Think about it. I know, brain me question. Where which of the following scenarios is the electoral system of proportional representation not necessary? Okay. India रे तो अच्छी FPTPS system. Right, very good. कहीं हमारे तो अच्छी ना system of proportional representation president रे. हमारे तो अच्छी ना. Even though this is there, they can prevail together. That's not a problem. But if there is only a two-party system of proportional representation ର ମାନେ कौन ରହିला से? କିଛି ମାନେ ହିଁ ନାହିଁ. जे ଅଧିକ ପାଇଲା ସେ ତ ଜିତିବ. ସରିଲା. So the answer is here. You can leave this question if you want, but if you can work it out in your mind, then solve kariaba. Yes. Basically, this is always required when you have more than two parties. You have 10 parties, you have 20 parties. समस्त को किसी परसेंट वोट मिलची तो समस्त को पार्लियामेंट रे जगह दियो नहीं कि इलेक्शन रे ये दियो. तो जो दीटा ही पार्टी अछि सेठी you don't need proportional representation. That takes care of your 40 questions. You just read the solutions of this current affairs. Okay, very easy. Unnati कौन? Northeast ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ some infrastructure. Okay. Group of friends कौन? Accountability of crimes against UN peacekeepers. So these are all anyway you will be reading with pages. So I will close this discussion for now. Thank you.